There are several things that we must do if we are to survive as a people. We're in bad shape. I'm not going to get into a whole victimization thing. I'm not going to get into the cup half empty, but I will say this. Young men, young women, decide whether you want lust or empire. Decide whether the person that you think you're in love with is the one who's going to teach your son and daughter, whether you are there or not, that we do have a mission. Too many Puerto Ricans, good looking, and I look at this crowd, ustedes son lindos. But then again, we were born that way. But the question is, the worst thing in the world is to find a beautiful woman with no spirit. A beautiful woman or a handsome man with no heart, no courage. This poem is dedicated to relationships, and I think you'll understand. It was a nasty relationship. Their fights took place on the streets where they lived, eye-gouging, gutter-sniping, mother-calling fights. And though the sex was great after, he'd lose a day of work to heal and she wouldn't feed the kids. The cops would come and she'd scream through blackened eyes, "Don't take him, he's mine! And what will I do when he's gone?" But she had to admit there were times when he split that she noticed the beauty of her houseplants. And she loved him. 7 kids worth she loved him, and he adored her. 7 long affairs worth he adored her, and always came back home. Even if his mistresses bought him clothes and cologne, he came back. He remembered. Remembered how his wife snatched their last child from her tit to look for him in Brooklyn. She found him in a quiet Puerto Rican tenement on a quiet Puerto Rican block, and she made it loud. Kicked the door down with her heels, slapped the Italian super, and vowed revenge on the bilingual teacher he was pumping. "Te mato, maricón," was the last shout he heard, and then he smelled the gasoline. So he came back. And though she beat and cursed him all the way home, and people in their subway car marveled at his patience, he thought how wonderful it would be to have peace. Their 8th child was conceived that night in a frenzy of jealous passion, but he left for good 6 months later. He loved her and she loved him, and they spoke often on the phone, but she remembered the pain. And on the day she knew she was due, she took the train to his job on Wall Street, her water following her in a trail. She met him in his custodian's basement locker room, kissed him long, hard, sucked on his tongue and left. He didn't understand her strange smile nor her funny twitch, but said goodbye and shrugged. The thick blood took its time inching down her legs to the cold marble floor. She hobbled to the elevator. 16th floor, she said, and didn't know why. Passengers thought how strange, she doesn't look like a stockbroker. The woman child found the public ladies' room and grunted her 8th miracle into the toilet. But she saw it couldn't swim, was drowning. And though she hated his father, gingerly she cut the cord and placed the baby in the garbage can for its father to pick up when he made his rounds. Love and romance. Love and romance. Oh, how they thrive in New York.
Whoa.